River State Governor Siminialayi Fubara has stated that the Victor Oko-Jumbo-led State House of Assembly remains the authentic one. The governor said this on Thursday evening during the signing of the 1.1 trillion naira 2025 budget at the State House of Assembly in Port Harcourt, the state capital. Fubara insisted that Martin Samehule and 26 other members who defected from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressive Congress are no longer recognized as lawmakers. He said, "I want to say this, maybe for some persons somewhere who are still mixing up issues. We have only one assembly, and that assembly is headed by Right Honorable Victor Oko-Jumbo. A group of friends about 9 months ago embarked on what is called the seabird journey. Halfway through the vessel, while they were coasting, they realized that they were entering the den of devils and sharks, and they now want to retreat. It is too late, and the truth is that we are not going back. We have given them enough room for peace. There is no governor in Nigeria who can take the kind of insult I took from those set of people. As it stands now, our major target is the interest of River State, and will continue to defend the integrity of governance. As far as I'm concerned, we have moved on." Daniel, what do you make of this statement by the governor?
First, in all sincerity, what we say as leaders, what we do as leaders matters. It matters for those who we mentor. It matters for the purpose of running a state. And it is only in dictatorship you hear statements like this, as to say that they are no longer, it is not in his place to so decide. The same way he was voted into office is the same way this set of persons were voted into office. And you would remember my stand. My stand then was that he is the governor of River State, he should be allowed to govern River State. But I will not support you and fall into a pit, because beyond you, there is an office. And some persons might be governors tomorrow. We have had history of people who go against the law. It doesn't go well. You can check from even Amichi's time. You can check from Odili's time, where they violated the elections that brought in, the primaries rather, that brought in Zio Mehana. How did it end? Check during Amichi's time, when he refused to swear in a chief judge in River State, insisting that this person is the one he recognizes. How did it end? It didn't end well. And we must look at these issues critically. I have said on this show that I believe that Martin Samehule's seats were declared vacant in December. There are court judgments that today, as I sit here, that view I hold is irrelevant until further views or pronouncement of court are made regarding the view I hold before. And that is how people must transition. It is not about me. It is not about the governor. It is about the state. Because check the MBS record of, I think, September or so. No FDI.
Okay.
Generated in River State. River State is one of the main hubs where you have international company, mostly more than any state in Nigeria. Still, we recorded zero. Are we not worried? What are the things that could cause it? If Lagos is having smaller states like Akwa Ibom, they have. Respect the word small, please. I'm not saying that, but in terms of numbers here in River State, and in terms of the investment in River State, in terms of the VAT generated in River State, that we had zero. I think these are things that people look at and say, if we invest here, what does the leader think? If we do like this, what does politics here say? And, you know, he also mentioned, there was a time I was privileged to be here where he mentioned the fact that the state is being demarcated. These are
The
issues.
politicians are demarcating the
These
state.
are issues that cost it. When you insisting and making yourself a lord over every other person, regardless of what the court says. You see, the idea to choose what type of judgment you obey. I was here when the Federal High Court gave the judgment as a suspension or withholding of the River State money.
Yes.
And I said it was using a sledgehammer on the state. I disagree with it, but the court has made their pronouncement. When the December 13th judgment came, and part of the submissions from the court was that it was wrong to have you obeyed that, you celebrated it, it was all over. What are the other judgments they were given?
Yep. On the same 13th of December.
Yes, then you refuse it. I do not follow people into the pit as to say that they now decide, they now become the Lord. When you talk about insult, who received insult more than Buhari? Did Buhari arrest anybody one day? No. Who received insult? Tinubu received insult every day. The joy is that he's the president. Your insult doesn't push him away from being the president. Same way, if the kitchen is too hot, then get out of the kitchen. Oh, you receive insult. What kind of insult? You get your pay every month. You get your allowances every month. You get security every month. There is security vote for you. You are not doing the job for free. And so respect the rule of law. If the court has said this is what it is, and I think that, you see, I'm disappointed because I thought that his own brand of politics would be different. As to listening, as to empathizing, as to look at issues in depth, unlike the former Governor Wike. And I thought that he would understand that. And unfortunately, he's throwing that same part. The idea to arrogate to yourself and say that they are no longer, who are you to decide that? Who are you? When did you become the court of law? The highest you can receive is the advisor from the Attorney General of the state. That's the highest you can receive. You are not a court of law to so decide as to who should be recognized and who should not be recognized. And in any case, because I hear these issues of, it was after this, Johnson Motor's case was not about the defection.
It was pre-defection and post-defection.
The 13th judgment referred to that. Referred to the fact that if they doesn't rock, these are the, as of today, these are the members, legitimate members that hold the speakership of the River State House of Assembly. And unfortunately, you see, these are things that ordinarily, by today we should be talking about how is the budget going. People are looking at what area should I invest in because this budget will support this particular area. We're not talking about that. People are skeptical. People are a bit afraid as to say, well, from the budget of the governor, this is where he wants to go to in 2025. But what if the court says otherwise and this budget is nullified? And so people are holding back, which is very unfortunate. People would hold back their resources
and
of
you
investing.
think to a large extent that was why River State recorded zero foreign
It was
direct
zero.
investment because because of the litigation. The 2024 budget is under litigation, and the court says the state does not have a budget.
It doesn't have a
so
budget.
No investor
Want to put money where they are not sure.
There might be backlash.
Of course, it's just like saying in Lagos State, if the budget is passed, you know there is no opposition to that. The budget is the budget. The people who, the guys who pass that budget are the legitimate members of that state. And so people go with their full chest, want to invest, knowing that, okay, the government is prioritizing this area. So we could have people employed in this area, we could have this. Now people want to genuinely, including go and borrow money, go and get money to fund certain things because they know that the budget itself is going towards that direction. But once you have litigations like this, it is me, myself, and I just spending the River State money. Yes, the state might have money. But you needed more investment because the state cannot create all this microeconomics that would employ 2, 3, 5, 10 in that community, in that locality, in that area. These are your budget are the things that people look at. As to say, okay, probably we have 2 branches in River State. Why not extend 3 branches? Why not make it 10 branches? These are things that people look at. Not politics as to you to now decide, also decide to say that you do not recognize them again. Oh, they are like these things has gone, this thing. They are, come on. You are a governor of a state, the head of the government. Unfortunately, it is for the executive. You cannot decide. If you hold that view, that is your view. But as of today, the law recognizes Martin Amekule as a governor, as the Speaker of the River State House of Assembly. Anything you are doing is just a jamboree. It's just a journey to nowhere. Except that a court of law has said, no, they reverse the earlier decision of the lower court. Anything outside that. Even the 13th judgment said that it was even wrong to say that because you have made an appeal, that you are not going to obey. That it was wrong to have done that. But still, that's why I made my earlier submission saying he should check those who disobeyed the law. How did it end?
I was about asking you that question because part of the argument, has been that, okay, this matter is in Supreme Court. And because it's in Supreme Court, the governor might as well go ahead to present the budget to this three-man faction of River State House of Assembly. Well, the court calls them forum, by the way, so probably to be safe to call them three-man forum of the assembly. But then you have the opinion that regardless of that reservation, the court's judgment, when the court was giving their judgment on 13th of December, they said that you appealed to the Supreme Court does not mean that you would disobey the existing judgments.
Yes, there was one of the days I was privileged to be here. I hold that view that the governor had appealed.
Yes, I remember.
I hold that view.
And I told you that there was no stay of execution.
And my view is not blindly held because it was Fubara or because it was anyone. No.
Okay.
I had believed at that time from the persons, usually when there are issues like this, I have people I call. As to say, what is your opinion? And I take about 2 or 3. And then I take a position. And my position is not on a death sentence that I must follow this way. No. When I have a superior opinion from the court, my position changes. And that is how we should always be. If not, we will not learn. Unfortunately, the governor would have people around him who understands this, but are not advising him.
Why do you say that?
The judgment is everywhere. The judgment is not written in Latin. It's written in pure English. I had the privilege of also watching one of your show here where the judgment was put up.
Yes.
And one of your guests, barrister, was arguing.
Barrister Jamala.
Was arguing to the fact that what were the final submissions. Almost about 6 submissions were made. Not one submission was made. But the government chooses one.
Which is the one that said that annulled the judgment that barred CBN from paying the allocation.
Yes. You see, it was celebrated in River State. I celebrate it because I hold the view that we have a legitimate government in River State. So there was no point holding the fund. Yes, there are crises in River State. It does not warrant holding the fund of River State. That was my view. The court agrees with me. And I go with it. But the ones that court disagree with me, I follow the court. Same way. Are you saying that the general doesn't see this? To have clearly advised his principal as to say, well, this is what the judgment says today. Can we please obey this judgment and submit this budget here? It is not in my will. In his own will, yes, he might not like their faces. It happened with Buhari and Bukola Saraki. before Bukola Saraki defected to the PDP. They were of the same political party, but they disagreed. Not in any point has Buhari said, this face, they will never become. No, you don't have to. You are the executive. And you see, the implication of this is that it will not be well with Rivers State if they follow this trajectory. Unfortunately.
When you say it will not be well with Rivers State, what do you mean?
No, it's not a cause.
I understand what you mean, but I want more explanation.
Yes. You see, the idea that the people who are legitimately holding an office and you deny them the participation of that office, you deny them the perk of that office, you deny them the recognition of that office. When the table turns, they would not look at you the same way, that because you have felt that from his statement a battle line has been drawn. There is no battle line to be drawn. The principal person is me that the governor wants to satisfy, the legislature wants to satisfy. It's me as a person.
The people of Rivers State.
Of Rivers State. I work here. I pay my tax here. And so, it is me, not a battle line. I am not interested about the battle line. What does the law say? The law says that you are the governor. Oh, you still hold the red pen. Beautiful. The law says these are the members of the Rivers State Assembly. You do not need to like their faces. You just have to work with them. Because they are Rivers people. There is nothing that makes you better off or makes you better off as a Rivers man than them. That's not true. And so, let's not take politics too far as to look at some people as enemy of the state and you are the messiah that the state needs. That's not true. That's not true. And so we should at this point, and unfortunately, I have canvassed here about elders coming into, and I've seen that the elders, they are nowhere to be found. You can't find the elders.
What do you mean by they are nowhere to be found?
We saw an elder who says somebody saying that the governor 1 year is better off than. Come on. Why are we taking hypocrisy too far? Why? That you can't tell the governor the truth and tell his principal the truth? This man brought him. When they brought him, did you agree that this man should be governor? Did you agree? Did you agree that that man should be governor? But today, the man is the messiah, the other one is the enemy of state. No. So I think my advice would be to the governor, toe the line of the law. The law will work for everyone. Toe the line of the law. You should go and check from Odili till today. Those who clearly disobeyed what the law says, how did it end?
Now the thing now is, with 2024 budget still a matter of litigation, and the governor being accused of running the state without a budget. And what actually led to the crisis of 2024 budget and the litigation that followed suit was because the governor presented the budget to a four-man assembly. Now, you have spoken about the judgments that followed, and the governor was instructed by the court to present the budget to Martin Siminialayi-led House of Assembly, the 2024 budget. An appeal court also took the same stand. And now, the governor has not obeyed that judgment, but has went ahead again the second time to now present 2025 budget to the same faction, but now lesser number. What do you make of this action, and what will be the consequences of this in 2025?
Impeachment. If it goes, that's why I said, I use the word, it might not be well with certain things in Rivers State.
Okay.
I foresee, if the judgment go in favor of the Martin Siminialayi group, I foresee a process of accusing the governor of spending the state resources without recourse to...
Without appropriation.
Without an appropriation, approval from the Rivers State House of Assembly. Legitimate Rivers State, if the judgment goes in favor of them. Now, if the judgment doesn't, which then means that the governor in itself, you see, in both ways, the governor is nowhere to be found. Because even if, let's even agree here, for the sake or purpose of this conversation, to say that Martin Samehule and others,
they are not existing.
You can't give it to Tiri.
I was actually
You can't do that. Tiri cannot in any way. But the Tiri can sit down to discuss certain issues. But a major thing as budget of Rivers State, Tiri cannot decide. Never. It's an abomination. Tiri cannot decide. That's one. Two. And I think that certain institutions are being quiet. And I understand during the Buhari's time and others, probably when it's APC, the NBA is louder. What is the NBA's position? Yes, you should have a position. A court is making pronouncement.
And the governor is...
A governor is disobeying those things. What is the position of the NBA? NBA has been quiet. Why? Why? They have a branch in Rivers State. Let's even assume the headquarters is far away. They have a branch in Rivers State. So what is the position of NBA?
But there was a time NBA spoke and it was in favor...
It was in favor of the governor.
The NBA has spoken at some point.
No, that was
in favor of the governor.
That was during the local government when they wanted to extend the tenure of the local government and others.
Yes.
I'm saying that the NBA should have position on every judgment and how it is implemented. When a judgment comes and they see how it is being implemented, the NBA should be able to write and say, this is our position. We think that the executive had gone wrong regarding this judgment. Oh, we think that the legislatures...
But then if that's... Well, let's even periscope on the original stand that the only time NBA came out to speak in Rivers State crisis and took the side of the governor. That was, like you said, during the local government extension, tenure extension. And the NBA was saying that, you know, the legislatures were arrogating to themselves the power of the...
But the Supreme Court shut them up.
But the Supreme Court, I was actually commended. When Supreme Court was giving his judgment, you know, in July, with regards to the local government autonomy, page 16 of that judgment, I think page 16, paragraph 2 or thereabout, the judgment, the Supreme Court said that the state houses of assembly actually have powers to extend the tenure of local government council by a period not exceeding 6 months. So for a period of 6 months, the State House of Assembly can actually extend the tenure of local government chairman for a period of 6 months. You understand? And this thing is enshrined in the Constitution. NBA that came out to speak in favor of the governor and took that position that they took against the Rivers State House of Assembly extending the tenure of local government chairman. How do you even explain that?
No, you
right?
see?
And then moving forward, and after that, they have been silent. You've spoken of MBA being silent. How about NJC? Because now MBA has to do with lawyers in this instance. One would say the same lawyers that take matters to court that do not even have jurisdiction to entertain them. And NBA has not come out to condemn the actions of these lawyers. How about the NJC? You know, this has direct consequence or bearing on the actions of judges as well. And the judgments that and orders that come from these courts comes from judges. And these judges belongs to NJC. So if you're looking at the institutions, MBA on the other hand, how about the NJC as well?
No, you know, the NJC is an organ that regulates some of these things. And it will be pretty difficult
for them to come out to speak.
Hastily. What I mean hastily is that because the cases are in court, it will be pretty difficult to make statement hastily. Because the head of
Kekeredun.
Yes. She is the head of the NJC. And so it will be like if the NJC make a pronouncement, what if that case goes to Supreme Court? Would that be an influence? Would that be what she feels?
It might be seen as influencing the matter.
So the NJC might be excused when issues like this come, but not the MBA. The MBA is a body of lawyers who will see that our courts are being relegated when they make pronouncement. And I expect that the judgment is everywhere. They can take a position to say, this is what the law says. And our advice is for the governor to obey. So if they are this quiet, have they been this quiet before? When it was during the Buhari's era? When Buhari was pulling down the windows, the doors of judges there, were they quiet? They were never quiet. They were speaking from all sides. But today in Rivers State, we have a body that had gone AWOL. And so for me, my advice would be to the governor. It is not a line of towing the peace. You can decide to continue firing. But once the law says this is where we go, we all go there for the sake and prosperity of the state.
Now, like I said, I asked you earlier, I asked you of the consequences of these actions, and you said it will be impeachment.
It might be. I'm not.
Okay,
I don't. You see, the case in Supreme Court might go either way.
Yes. But now, you like you said earlier, even if it goes either way, because when I wanted to bring my line of questioning from the angle of the Constitution, right? Do these men form a quorum to even legislate for that?
It's an abomination.
Now, do they form a quorum? If they do not form a quorum, I remember one of my guests when he was on my show said that the governor invoked the doctrine of necessity. You understand?
No, he doesn't have the powers. He doesn't.
I asked him that question.
No, he doesn't.
Who invokes it?
No, you see, unfortunately.
Because this will be this is also some position.
No, you see, the law has made it easier. When there is a major crisis, the National Assembly take over. It doesn't give the governor the latitude to so decide and to say invoke the doctrine on what doctrine of necessity.
Is it not a legislative arm that will still do that?
No, what I'm saying is that now, if it goes, okay, now let's just play the devil's advocate here. Let's assume it goes in favor of the governor. But the governor does not have a right to present a budget to 3-man person. They cannot. In any way, he cannot. That is why, for me, I said this on another forum I spoke about 3 days ago, that I think that at this stage, the National Assembly should be preparing to take over the legislative functions of Rivers State. Yes.
How can National Assembly prepare to do that when the court has said there is a legitimate house and no higher court has ruled otherwise?
No, I'm just saying, because we are looking at scenarios here now.
Yes.
What if it goes against Martins and Mehule, the judgment? Right? If it goes against Martins and Mehule, still, the 3 persons do not have function as a majority.
INEC would now have to conduct elections.
That is when the River State functions has been taken over. Because the 3 persons cannot and should never sit to legislate on serious business matters that concerns the state. The truth must be told to us, regardless of who we support or who we admire or who mentors us. It doesn't matter. And so for me, in that stage, I think the National Assembly should be looking at it to immediately take over the function. It's like saying, for example, the National Assembly, you now have the Speaker Abbas, the Deputy Speaker, and the Majority Leader will take over the functions in Nigeria. It's an abomination. What should not happen at the subnational should not happen at the federal level. We all know that if this happens at the federal level, our voices will be very loud. How come it's happening in a subnational and we are all quiet? We are either for the governor or against the governor. For what purpose? I think the interest of the state should stand. Now, if it goes against the governor, the body language has shown that he will not obey that judgment.
That even if Supreme Court
we are just creating.
Are you saying even if Supreme Court rules, he will still not obey it?
See, quote me on this matter. One day we'll talk about it again. I foresee a judgment coming in River State here. I'm telling you that if this judgment goes against the Supreme Court, the River State government against
if it goes against the River State government in favor of Martin Samehulu,
I, Daniel Momo, foresee that there will be a judgment. There will be an order in River State Court here. I don't know what judge declaring that these guys are not members of the River State House of Assembly.
That is after the Supreme Court has ruled. Yes,
because the Supreme Court ruling will come as to the idea that it was not a pre-this, it was pre-that and all of that. It didn't deal with the issue of defection or that. A ruling will come here.
And then that will start afresh again, giving the governor another time.
I'm saying that.
Okay.
Watch and see. I'll be back again by God's grace on this show. Supreme Court will soon rule. And then you will see what will happen. Because the actors on this side had taken a position that judgment and all is not based on the defection. It was based pre and all of that and all of those analogy and those terminology being used. That, they are no longer members. Even if the Supreme Court rule, then a judgment. An order will come from River State.
If the Supreme Court rules and addresses the matter of defection in its judgment. Because now we are looking at all possible angles.
And I hope at this time that we now have a vocal Minister for Justice who will speak. Then his speaking would address some issues, because they are the one to direct the police, they are the one to direct all security agencies regarding the status of the judgment. Same way the Attorney General of the Federation didn't sleep, wasn't snoring when the issue of Edo State was happening.
I was coming there.
So I hope that
after he spoke, what happened?
No, after he spoke,
there's not saying government still took a swipe at him. Didn't they?
But let me tell you, the gravity of that was that the chairman went back to work. They were working. Police was not withdrawn.
Okay.
They were working.
All right.
Until recent
impeachment.
This crisis that is happening.
Yes.
But his pronouncement kept certain things.
Okay.
That the federal government recognizes this position. Because his speaking is the federal government speaking. It's the president speaking. That this is our position, that you do not have the right to suspend this person, even though there is a state law that goes against the federal law. And I took a position which was in support of that. But when the Attorney General made that statement, I went with it, and the court made it. No, don't support somebody till you fall into a pit. No, it should not be. And so I expect that he will not snore nor sleep when there is a judgment in River State as to his position to that judgment, because his position takes weight. He is more like an executive position that he has taken. He would activate the police, he would activate every agency required for either side. And he himself should be able to make a position to say a 3-man person in River State should never. But he's quiet now. We'll agree because he's quiet.
Probably he doesn't want to preempt
the Supreme Court judgment. I understand. But we hope that he will not also sleep or snore when the issue comes to a final conclusion. And then a court here will now give an order recognizing this person and saying that these other persons had defected.
You know that initially that this, what you just said, the State High Court giving an order, had happened in the past, and that is with respect to Justice Wale. You recall that Justice Wale had declared the seat of Martin Samehule vacant while authenticating the speakership of Oko-Jumbo. And when that matter was appealed, that was actually the first appeal judgment that even came in the favor of Martin Samehule.
The appeal was saying that
the appeal court says that Justice Wale doesn't have, the State High Court, doesn't have the jurisdiction to entertain that matter in the first instance. And when they were giving the judgment, they said that though Federal High Court and State High Courts are courts of competent jurisdiction, the Federal High Court has its exclusive reserve. And in matters pertaining to the state governor, in matters pertaining to state houses of assembly and federal institutions, that the Federal High Court has the reserve of that. And in this instance, this order by Justice Wale had to do with a state's House of Assembly, and the courts, the State High Court, didn't have the jurisdiction to entertain that matter. And as a result, they struck out that case and they nullified all the pronouncements made by Justice Wale, and further went ahead to nullify all the actions taken by Oko-Jumbo.
But you know that they didn't even go further to...
So one would say if a State High Court is bringing another judgment, how is that going to... Yes.
We've been in this state, and we have seen the abnormal happen in this state. And the parties who are supposed to speak out kept quiet. They kept quiet. And so I am not an innocent to speak on this issue to say that there will be something like that.
Right.
if the Supreme Court, it will now be that, the order granted here has nothing to do with the Supreme Court judgment. The Supreme Court judgment was about the budget and all of that. But the judgment, the order that will be given here will be as to the position of Martin Amehule, whether they are members of the Rivers State Assembly or not. And then they will start afresh again.
But even if they start afresh, you understand, whether they start afresh or not, Martin Amehule, if the Supreme Court gives judgment, will go ahead with whatever it is that they are doing.
That's why I said that if the judgment go in favor of Martin Amehule, I expect that the Attorney General of the Federation should make an official pronouncement.
Okay.
He should. His pronouncement will go a long way to solidify their security details, their recognition as the legitimate members, and including the release of their funds because they have not been paid. The state refuses to pay because the state recognizes. Okay, now imagine. Certain things are very funny here. When you came back from Abuja, you recognized them. You sent commissioners to them in line with the agreement. Later, you refuse to recognize them. What powers do you have? And that is why...
But the governor said he gave them a floating, that they are existing because he chose to recognize them.
Let's not support people and create a god out of them. I support him as the governor of Rivers State, not as Fubara. He's the governor. I want him to exercise his powers. I want him to, because tomorrow we'll be able to judge to say, the same Fubara as Rivers State governor did well. The same way we'll judge Wike, Judge Amechi, Judge Odili. And my position there was that I think he was being handled around and all, and he should be allowed to become governor. That's my position. Not to support him to a pit. Because the position and the kinds of language and utterances that comes from him is dangerous. We might look at it as, to them it's too fighting. No, it is dangerous. He does not have power to recognize and derecognize someone. He doesn't have that power. And we must agree that he doesn't have that power. That power so belongs to the court. Just like when the judgment that was given by Rocha Sokorocha, INEC against Rocha Sokorocha, INEC later said that the election they declared was declared under duress. And the court said, you cannot shoot a gun and still hold back the bullet. No, you have already declared him winner. If there are other things to say that he's no longer the winner, bring it to the court of law. You do not have the power to recognize and have the power to derecognize somebody. He doesn't have that power. We should tell him. So that at the end of the day, we do not create a team god. Rather, we create a servant leader for us in the state who should work for us because he's being paid. Every peck of the office, he has it. If he moves here now, every vehicle here stops. And so, we should not create a god out of him. And that's my position. Yes, I support him. But not to the extent of the kinds of utterances and language that comes from him. It is wrong to say that they exist at your own pleasure. No, it won't happen.
But their salaries have not been paid.
Yes, he has a power to. I like that. The way I started, I said, he should check those who disobey the law. How did it end? When Odile denied Amechi in the primary, how did it end? Amechi became governor. When Amechi denied this man, what's his name, to become the chief judge of Rivers State, whereby he was recognizing, was he Aguma or something? I can't remember now. Recognizing him, what happened? Immediately he finished, that man was sworn in as the chief judge of Rivers State. You should go and check these things so that we know that those who disobey the law in Rivers State has an history of failing. They will fail out of it. So you should please, I do not want to create a team god out of anybody. I'm not interested. Do your work as governor. The law has said this. The court has said that. Recognize them. Recognizing them does not mean by saying it. Go there and submit yourself to them. For scrutiny, submit your budget to them. So that's my opinion about it.
Well, but then let me look at the governor's side for a minute. Now, you recall that the governor did not submit the 2024 budget to Martin Samegule. If he decides to go to submit this 2025 budget, definitely they are going to inquire into the 2024 budget.
You see, the State House of
Giving
Assembly...
room for the same possible impeachment that, you know, one may be worried about.
No, you see...
Don't you think so?
No, you see, for the interest of the state, we can begin to say, for example, if the judgment favors the Martins Amehule-led faction of the Rivers State House of Assembly, that for the interest of the states, the governor should submit the 2025 budget. The Ladoja's case, for example, where he went back to the court to say, I was impeached, I was not in office for about 9 months. And so my tenure should not end May 20, is it 27 or 29, May 29. And the Supreme Court said, no, that your tenure ends May 29. Unfortunately, these events have happened. So, time has passed. We cannot reverse and go back to start implementing the budget of 2024. In politics, that's what we call give and take. There are things he would say, okay, in the 2025 budget can be adjusted to say that, because legislatures do it all over, including the federal legislatures, to say that this thing comes to my constituency, I take this to my constituency, I take that. Yeah, so give and take can happen in issues like this. And then the State Assembly can do a law to waive what has happened in 2024. They have the power to so do, to waive it. So depending on the mood and things that happen after the Supreme Court judgment. But I think that what I have seen from the Martins Amegule's group is that they have been giving concessions to the governor's side. As is, okay, we'll give you time, come and present this. So in the interest of the state, I think the options of impeachment will not be the first option. That's my opinion.
Going by what Ahmad Samile have been doing over
time. They will
still give him that time to present.
I do not think that impeachment will be the
first point of call.
No, I do not think so.
Okay.
What I think is to say that the governor should represent the budget to them. That's if we hope that there is no order here from Rivers State.
State High Courts.
Yes, either saying preventing the governor from doing so, or saying that these people do not have the legitimacy to so do. But I hope that the Minister for Justice, the Attorney General of the Federation, will make a heavy pronouncement on this.
Now, when you keep going back to Rivers State High Court, and that brings to mind, the allegations that have been leveled against the judiciary. Now, particularly Federal High Court Abuja. There was this allegation in 2024 that most political cases, particularly in Rivers State, have been directed to Federal High Court Abuja. That because when matters go to Federal High Court Abuja, that it will definitely favor the camp of the FCT minister. But here, Daniel, you have been showing serious concern on outcome of cases, or the action or position that state high courts in Rivers State will take in favor of the governor. Could it be what is playing out?
No, I think that it is not true first. Whoever holds a position to say that every judgment that comes from Abuja favors, the judgment of the local government favors the governor. The judgment of the withholding of the funds favors the governor. They were not judgments in Rivers State. Favors, rather, the government of Rivers State. And I have had cause to worry about all of these orders that comes from the State High Court in Rivers State.
Okay.
Even Justice Kekere Ekun was worried. I was not the only person. They were worried as to inviting some of these actors by the NGC. And so imagine that you wake up on a Sunday and you are hearing there was a court order on a Sunday. Who sat? Where did they sit?
That's why the order can be issued anywhere.
No. You see, the idea was, I have said it here, that do you feel that if you do not take this order on a Sunday, will it be injurious to the other party or to you? If I don't take that order today, tomorrow I might die. Why not put the other party on notice to report before you? And you could note this. I can't remember that judge again here in Rivers State, after they had gone to Abuja and came back. He put the other party on notice to say this.
That was after NJC had
invited
some of the judges to investigate their actions.
Said report to us. I think it was the PDP issue as to who was supposed to.
Yes.
He said put the other person on notice. That is the clear thing to do.
I gave them a time.
That is the clear thing to do. If I rush to a court and say, Chioma has violated my right and all of that. But the court looks at it and says, no, this is not injurious for me to take this order. Why not put Chioma on notice to appear before us on so day on the reason why this order should not be granted? That is the best practice to do. You are not going to wake up. Imagine you heard an order by Oko-Jumbo from nowhere recognizing him as the Speaker of the Rivers Assembly. You took that order. In the next 2 days, there's another order. For what? And you look at the speakership. Was it that if that speakership thing wasn't declared that day, it is injurious to the state? No. And so I had the cause to feel that some of the cases that came out from, or some of the court pronouncements that came out from the River State High Court are suspicious. I have the cause to believe that. It might not be true, but I just have that belief because even the NJC was worried and had to invite the judges.
All right. Now, at this point in Rivers State, my major concern at this point is breakdown of law and order. And to a large extent, you recall towards the ending of the tenure of the local government chairman, what happened towards the end of the tenure, and this local government chairman insisted that they had the right to stay. They are empowered by the law to stay. You recall what happened, and lives were lost in the process. And now, at the aftermath of the local government elections, and this chairman, the elected chairman, were to resume office on October 7th, you also recall what happened again. So this time around could be escalated at this point. What do you see playing out at the end of the day? I am worried about breakdown of law and order. Are we driving to a state of anarchy?
No, I'm not worried. I'm not worried.
Why are you not?
Those who are far concerned more are the political thugs, not the genuine people of River State who go about doing their legitimate business. I think that there will definitely be a pronouncement from the Attorney General of the Federation. Remember, when that crisis was happening, the president advised that everyone should sheathe their sword and wait for the court pronouncement. I don't know if you remember then.
Did that happen?
No. They have not gotten to the final pronouncement. Okay. So it's difficult for one to say this is the position that the federal government will take until a Supreme Court had given that judgment. And so that's why I felt that there will be a pronouncement from the federal government through the Attorney General of the Federation as to say that as at that day that the pronouncement is made by the Supreme Court, this is the position. I don't want to say whether for or against some of these actors in Rivers State. No. I think there will be a definite pronouncement.
Do you see the governor obeying
it is not about
the pronouncement or the judgment?
He doesn't have a choice. If that happens, he doesn't have a choice. He doesn't have a choice. And like I said, I do not think that the Martins Amehule faction would look at it as impeachment as a first thing. No, that won't happen. I think that there will be a give and take as to. Remember again, there were several laws that has been carved, and they have override the governor's assent to those laws. What it then means, you see, it is not the budget alone. what it means is that recognizing Martins Amehule, all of these laws that they had made comes to life. The local government, the what's the name, the panel of inquiry thing, all of those things will come to life. So
this issue is going to be protracted and more complicated than one thing.
I expect that the federal government...
If it comes to life, it means that now, at the local government level, fresh tussle will start between the outgone local government chairman.
They would never be chairman.
Okay, why do you say that?
You see, even the court said, listen, the court said that what's the name now, at the federal level, that regulates INEC, what's this law that regulates INEC?
Electoral Act.
The Electoral Act is not applicable to a local government. The last pronouncement recognizing what was done here. It means that it is the State House of Assembly, the laws made here that regulate the
actions of the local government.
So what it then means is that as at the last sitting that gave birth to the extension of the local government, would these guys be recognized? Were the people who conducted that election, did they pass through the true legislative house of assembly, who voted that money in and all? So there'll be a lot of things, but I want to believe...
Now, if I understand what you're saying, that's why I'm saying that if this thing goes the way you're saying, then it means that we have fresh crisis. Fresh local government crisis, because there is a two-way traffic. Number one, the outgone local government chairman, whose tenures were extended, right? Now, that law that they made possibly will be activated. One, that's on one hand. Now, this local government chairman, now, the question would be who funded RISEC? With what? But though you have mentioned the ones that RISEC could get funds from anywhere.
Yes, they could.
Now, who even, the persons that, were made up the RISEC, who commissioned them and who screened them and all
And that's why I said there will be a lot of give and take.
Okay.
But I also see that the legislature would insist on certain things. And I hope that it will not be too difficult for the governor to implement. Because you see, the truth is politics is deep. And everybody wants to control the grassroots, where the local government chairmen are. For example, in Edo State, you see all of this fight in Edo State. It's just that the governor is APC, the chairman
are PDP, yeah.
That's the major crisis. And you would want to see, it will be interesting. But I hope, and I pleaded with the federal government to make a pronouncement after the Supreme Court judgment.
All right.